Hello, I'm Dave Morrow, Product Manager here at OPW. Thanks for checking out this video on maintaining your compact torsion swivel. There's a couple of things we want to point out before we really dive into the steps required to maintain the swivel. And these are things that have made maintenance of this product much simpler. The first thing we've done is we've added a carbon steel bearing to the horizontal plane. So to repair this plane of rotation, which is typically where you're gonna see wear, it's a bold end carbon steel bearing. You just simply remove these bolts. The carbon steel bearing lifts out, making that very easy to maintain, very durable, very rugged. The other thing we've done with the vertical plane is with the torsion spring being inside the unit, we have to spin the tail to remove the balls, which is difficult with the products that have been on the market. So what we've done is we've added this end cap. This end cap allows you to remove the torsion spring, and then you can rotate your tail, which makes maintenance much easier. So we're gonna walk out to our shop. We're gonna have Jeff walk through the maintenance steps required. We're in a controlled environment here at OPW. In the field, this product's gonna have fuel in it, so you want to make sure you have all the PPE, nitrile gloves, your safety glasses, steel toes. Loading arms are big, heavy. There's a lot of stored energy that can be within a loading arm, so you want to take all the safety precautions. We have an IO&M, a product manual on our website. Make sure you check that out and read that thoroughly before beginning. Check it, watch the video, and we want to make sure that everybody goes home safe. So let's jump right into maintaining your compact torsion swivel.
Hi, I'm Jeff with OPW. Today we're going to be talking about how to maintain and replace the seals on the OPW compact torsion swivel. First thing I want to talk about is the required tools you'll need. The bolts require a 9/16 wrench. The adjusting of the spring requires a 3/4 inch wrench. Removing the ball plugs requires a retaining ring plier set and a pair of pliers to remove them. And removing the ball bearings will require a magnet. Some optional tools we have that we use at OPW that we could also supply if we're requested. A tool to help to turn the unit to remove the ball bearings. A tool to help compress the unit to remove and install the ball bearings. And just a fixturing tool to hold everything in place. The first thing we want to do is remove the stop block so we can fully move the swivel. The next thing we want to do, we want to adjust the spring so that the outlet is pointing down. We do this to align the end of the spring with the gear to make it easier to remove. Sometimes when you're opening the spring the wrong direction, what will happen is the spring will get larger and move against the back of the diameter of the swivel. I just want to show you this so you don't get alarmed when it tightens up. What we need to do is move the opposite direction so the spring actually can get smaller. What will happen is the outboard end of the swivel will actually move all the way around the opposite direction. Okay, the next step is to remove the end plate. When we get to this point, I like to move the unit on its side. We can use one of the bolts from the stop block to remove the end plate. Okay. Next, we remove the gear. There we go. And the reason we move the swivel, well, so that this spring is directly in line with the gear. Next, we remove the spring. The first thing we're going to replace are the O-rings and the base swivel. So we flip it over and remove the bolts on the base. And you lift directly up on the base. These are the items we're going to change. We have 2 O-rings. Wipe the area free of any debris or grit. Use a seal lubricant to add to the O-rings so that they stay in place. One in the top, one in the bottom. And that's how you change the seals in the base. To change the seals in the vertical plane, we need to remove the ball bearings. At this point, we have the option to use our special tools or for you to work without the tools. The tools that we have is a tool to help turn the swivel so that it's easier to take out the ball bearings. The next tool is a compression tool, which compresses the O-rings so that you can take out the ball bearings and install them easier. If you do not have these tools, what you will need to do is fixture the body side into a vise so it does not move, and you'll have to rotate the tail around by hand. I'm going to fixture this end in so it stays, and I'm going to use our tools to make the job easier. In place of our turning tool, you can use a 2x4 inserted into the tail. For the turning tool itself, you'll need some longer bolts, 1.5 inch long, 3/8/16 bolts. Next, we're going to remove the ball plugs. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses for this part in particular. The next step is to remove the ball bearings with your magnet. Remove each ball. Turn the swivel to make more balls appear. Once you remove the ball bearings, pull the tail out straight. Remove the old H-block and both old seals. Clean the sealing surface. Remove all dust and debris. Get your new H-block and 2 of your new O-rings for each side. Add some seal grease so that they stay in the H-block. Insert the new H-block into the body. Now it's time to reinstall the new seal with the ball bearings. I'm going to use our compression tool to help aid getting the first few ball bearings in. For the compression tool, we take our threaded rod and insert it straight down where the spring attaches inside the tail. The compression tool is inserted straight into the body. Insert the tail into the body as straight as possible. Attach the nut to the back of the compression tool. This tool needs a 1 1/4 inch wrench. Watch the ball bearings to tighten until they line up. The best way to do this is to take a clean ball, put it in the race, and tighten the tool until the ball falls into place. If you do not have a compression tool, you'll have to push with your body weight against the tail. There. Now that we have the races aligned, we can add a few more ball bearings. Because of the size of the swivel and the limited range of motion, the best practice is to lubricate the ball bearings before you put them into the swivel. We do have grease ports for this swivel. However, with the limited range, sometimes the grease does not get all the way around. So please lube up the balls before you put them in. Adjust the tension if need be. Once enough balls are in place, we can remove tension from the compression tool. And we can start to turn the swivel to insert the ball bearings. Once all the balls are in the ball races, reinsert the ball plugs with the channel in line with the race. Reinstall the retaining rings. Next, we're going to remove our swivel tool. Next, I'm going to remove the unit from the fixture. Remove the compression tool. Reinsert the spring. One thing to note here, it's much easier if the spring is in line with the gear. We are off by a little bit, so what we're going to do is turn the tail a little bit more so that we are directly in line. Reinsert the spring. Now we're directly in line with the gear. Insert the gear into the spring tang, rolling it to engage with the worm. Get our end plate, put the stop block bolt in the end plate. One thing to note here, the end plate will not go on if the gear is not flat. Reach in with your hand and move the gear up so that it is flat. Sometimes it needs to be seemingly higher than flat. Insert the end plate. Rotate it around so the OPW is at the top. Line up the bolt holes and insert your bolts. These bolts are torqued to 35 foot-pounds. Tighten them in a star pattern for even compression. I like to snug them up evenly with the socket before we torque them. Earlier we installed the new seals. Turn the tail upside down and insert it into the body very carefully. No specific orientation. Line up the bolt holes and insert the bolts. Also, insert and snug these down in a star pattern for even compression. Torque these bolts also to 35 foot-pounds. The orientation of your swivel should be that the ball bearing plugs are in the back of the swivel. So the swivel faces forward, the opposite to you. We want to adjust the spring so that the swivel is pointing outward. Since we don't want to open the spring up and get it stuck, we're going to have to go around this way so the spring stays tightly wound. Now that our swivel is in the proper alignment, I'm going to add the stop block. And that concludes our complete seal replacement maintenance video for the OPW compact torsion swivel.